do some different things. So one of the things that I've started working with over the years was, well, many years back when I started even, was press releases, doing that, and found that, you know, you can get some good traction out of press releases. And then there was the Google News sites that came around, and a couple of years ago started working with the Google News sites to see how we could rank them and use them with CTR. And a friend of mine and I, we actually, you know, on a Anthony Robbins launch, we did really well, made some good commissions testing out some of those theories with news and video. And now what I've done is I continue to tweak these things just to use for the clients I have. And I never give away anything. It's why you don't see me in groups ever talking about, you know, do this, do that. I try to simplify things where I see a lot of very complicated things in the groups. And you can simplify things and make them very powerful. So what I'll do now, I'll just share, we'll just cut right to the chase and go to the diagram that we're looking at here, so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you.
What this is I've created something that is supposed to be like more like natural in the wild. You know, when you do a press release, your news article goes out and it's a promotional article. You've pretty much wrote it. You have to write it in a certain fashion so it's not overly promotional. You can't use certain terms and phrases. So that's a press release. It goes out to, you say, 550 places, and your link is the same all across. And those are great, but you only get so much traction from those. But then you can use what we want to do, and what we did with this is we have a conversation that continues. So right up here, this giant green box, you can see this is where a Google News site is, and it's a DA69. And what we're going to put on here is an in-depth article. It's not a press release. It's an actual like in-depth article that's got everything about your brand, what's unique, your keywords. So it's not designed to be a press release. It's supposed to be promotional in a way, but at the same time, really not having the restrictions that a press release does as far as what links you can put in and how you can place them. So this article is kind of what I call the conversation starter. Because then what happens is that one main news article that goes out on Google News, it's going to go over a series of weeks to other news sites. So it's pointing here to your website. But then what happens is a press release happens, and basically this one's promotional, and it's announcing, hey, you know, how we were mentioned in this news site here, just putting a link to your article basically to juice it up more. So you're getting with this process a press release that's got the 550 news syndications to different things like Fox News affiliates and all that. And that's going to link to your website also. But the first thing that happens is this article right here, because it's going to get a link from the press release. And what happens every week then is we have something very natural happens, where Google News site number 2 is now going to link to this article, but it's going to be an original article. It's going to have an introduction from, you know, an author. So we have these 13 news sites, right? Each one of them has 5 authors, and each author has its own IFTT network and profile setup that's been juiced up. So after this one article comes out, the next week, what we're simulating then is a guy on this news site is writing about, you know, what this niche is, and it's making a reference to you in this as a reference site. And it's also mentioning your website or the URL, an inner URL. And the reason why that works well right there is because you're just continuing the conversation in the web that looks organic. So now you've got this news site is writing about you. And then the next week happens and another news site is writing, and there's a little different twist in that news article, and it's linking to this one. And it's also going to link to your website. So it does this for a period of 13 weeks. So there's week 3, week 4, week 5. Each one of these is a different Google News site. So what happens behind that is actually very powerful also. So in this weekly drip, you're getting an original article on each one of these. So it's going to be primarily, a bulk of it's going to be a spin of this, but it's going to have a paragraph being introduced by, that different author on each one. So it's an introductory paragraph is new. And then the base information being spun, but we're using Word AI right now for spinning, which is creating a perfectly readable and 100% understandable article. So it looks good, and then it's going to have some hand editing if anything isn't in there. So once it does that, it's also going to have another link in there. So this is another important part that is kind of a co-citation piece where, let's say your niche is plumbing, right? So this news article here, it's talking about some specifics in plumbing. It's linking to you. It's linking to this site for a reference, but it's also going to have a link to something from that week, from something like Entrepreneur or Forbes or some kind of authority that's also talking. So that each week Google is saying that you're being talked about in the same article, in the same frame as something else coming from another authority site. And it's going to be a different authority site, each week, wherever there's a really relevant piece of news. So, and it won't be one of your competitors. It'll be something more on the technical and informational side. So then you're always getting a co-citation with another, another authority site. So it's going to do this for the 13 weeks. But each time this, okay, so we'll go back here. Week number 2, this article goes out on this news site. It has 5 authors on that news site, and each has an IFTT ring. So that one article right here is going to get about 45 to 60 backlinks. And they're going to come from Blogger, Medium, Weebly, Flickr, Pinterest, WordPress, Tumblr, Instapaper, Diigo, Trello, Evernote. And I have a special plugin to be able to go to some things like Pinterest and Flickr so that we don't have to rely on IFTTT, which has become more limited now. So these rings are also anywhere from 1 year to 5 years old. So this is an aged network. And that's going to happen each week. So you look at this and it's saying you're getting the 100% new article week 2, and then it's going out to that article is getting 50 backlinks. And then week after week after week, each one is getting 50 backlinks from a completely different network that's been built out in the past. So you're looking at that weekly drip, and you've got that times 13 because there's 13 total news sites. The 5 authors, 45 to 60, that's going to happen 13 times. And then we've got an embed network number 2, which you can give us a video if you want, because we like to embed a video into the articles, and you don't have to use the same video for all of them. If you have 13 different videos that you want to embed, we can do a different one each week. And then that week, when we put it through this additional embed network, where it's also going to have a link to the Google News URL. So for example, this article right here, and it's going to get 4 Facebook shares, 12 Twitter, 12 Blogger, 240 Tumblrs, and 120 Diigos. So multiply that by 13 times. So you're looking at, you've got 13 of these tier 1 links, and each one of them is going to have a total of about 440 backlinks between this one and this one. So now you've got a total of about 5,220 tier 2 backlinks when this is all done. And one points to the next, to the next, to the next. So you're getting a backlink that's juiced up and powerful, pointing to another backlink that's juiced up and powerful. And this whole system goes, and you end up with this site right here, with this one page that's very powerful when it's all said and done. And a bonus on top of this is on this news site, you can have it on a subdomain. So you could have it like, if you're Frank's Plumbing, then .newssite.com. So we're able to, with a special, another plugin that I have that I've been testing the last 6 months, we're able to hijack the Google News WordPress categories to create a subdomain instantly. So you can have your own subdomain on this one Google News site here, and in the future, you could continue to run news through it. So now you've got this super juiced up Google News subdomain of your own that could continue to be juiced up, you know, every time you're putting articles through here. So, and then the final thing is traffic itself. And this is something that is kind of an art in itself. It's not easy to do, but CTR is something that I've been working on for several years to master it. In fact, I had my own CTR bot developed, where I use one that Garrett Arcott has, but I also had my own developed because I needed it to do very specific things with engagement for certain clients, like being able to go to certain sites and perform certain engagement. Like, for example, Vimeo. We've been able to use it to rank Vimeo for just about any keyword there is out there. So what this is, it's going to boost your backlinks now, because the way I've kind of see it is, I'll use this analogy. You know, if a tree falls down, you've all heard this, if a tree falls down in the woods and no one is there, is there a sound? Well, I kind of think the same way with the backlink. If you've got a backlink on a site like this, but no one in the world has ever been to that page or seen the article or clicked through it, then how much does that really count? And a lot of people have been doing testing over the last couple of years showing that backlinks that actually have traffic are more powerful and more valuable and count for a higher weight. Now, can we break that down to how much? No, but it just kind of makes sense also. And what we do to do that is, so this is, we do a mobile search with, we have residential IP addresses out of a pool that are really high quality ones. And so they're mobile, whatever, 4G or whatnot. And we do a search. So like your brand name plus whatever the keyword would be. So let's say I always say plumber because I can't think of anything, but you're like Frank's Plumbing plus unclogged drain. And what's going to come up in Google and Bing is news site number 2. So now that mobile traffic is going to go and it's going to click on that in the search results, and it's going to go read that article. If you have a video on there, which I suggest, it's going to watch the video. And then after that, it's going to click through either to this or this. Usually it's going to be a mix of random. So sometimes when a piece of traffic is going to this, it's going to go here. Another time it might go here, or another time it might go to one of the authority site it's linking to. So then you have that going on, and not only can you do that traffic, you can, if you're a local business, we can take the latitude, longitude, and we can make the browser fake that the search is happening, you know, from that place. So you could take a point like, say, you know, 100 places around Denver, create 100 latitude, longitude points. So now it's doing that search and it's actually making it look like it's local while it's using those mobile residential proxies. So going back, and I know I probably just confuse people more than I help them understand things.
You're doing a good job. Awesome.
Step 1 is an in-depth article right here. And we want to cover everything. We want to have a well-optimized page with, you know, the LSI keywords. We want images. We want this to be just like, you know, this is going to be a premium backlink. So that's step 1. Step 2 is the press release, which is going to make a mention of that using a keyword. It's going to link to it, but then it's going to link to your website, but with just a brand URL. And then step 3 is the weekly news site drip. So these guys talk about you, then these guys, then these guys. And it's something that happens like, this is how it really happens, like organically, where one site's talking about another and talking about another, but when was the last time you really were able to put together and drip a backlink campaign that looked natural? Because you've got to figure out, okay, now I'm going to build 2 links from here. Next week, I'm going to do 2 links from here. And the conversation happens, when you do a press release like this, and then the conversation is over. This is designed to start a conversation here, get highlighted here, and then the natural organic people out there in the Google universe start writing about it, talking about it, and using each other as references, which all points back to you. And then everything getting shared through all these socials to juice it up more. And then we take those and we put all those IFTT URLs, the Pinterest URLs, Blogger, Medium, and we put those into an indexer also. So that is whatever you want to call, whatever Patrick wants to call this setup.
It is awesome. How's that? At least I think it is.
It works. This is the kind of thing that I do for my clients. And this is the kind of thing also where there's going to be tweaks made in this as the months go by. As I take new information, I learn from other people and some of my other groups. Like I'm in Dory Friends group in the SIA thing. I actually, if you've ever heard of the Rock Stars thing that she has every year, I spoke at the very first one 10 years ago. So I go way back with her. And so she's a good reference point. She knows, what I'm doing, and I stay involved as far as, well, it's funny. I watch to see everything they're doing and teaching, but I'm one of those, I just don't give back. So I don't share. So
yeah, you're a great person to have in the community.
Yeah, I'm not great for a community, but I'm good for my clients.
Yes, I know that. That's why I've been bugging you for 5 years.
And my clients have been my my loyalty and my priority. And as I'm starting to back away more from taking less clients, I've decided to do this with Patrick because, I don't want to constantly have to have a certain amount of clients. I want to just set some things up that we can do using a team, but get results that are the kind of results I get from my clients, setting up some of those really powerful things.
So one of the questions, other than being awesome, from CJ, thanks CJ, appreciate that. Brian's asking, how large of a team do you actually have to support this whole, menagerie of things that we're doing, from IFTTTs to, all of the tumblers, and that's very costly, to set all that up.
Let me tell you, no, it's already like, these are networks that I've had built over the years, like 10 years worth of work, I guess you could say. I've got some of the IFTTT networks go back 7-8 years. So all of this has been built. So we just have a few people like on a team, like I have a few people that work for me full time, and I teach them, how to run this and keep it going. I do a lot of the first work though, to make sure everything's going in perfect. For example, the first article that goes into site number 1, the DA69, I'm going to be running LSI keywords, maybe even running it through Page Optimizer Pro, just to make sure that there's certain elements in there that would help it to rank organically for certain keywords better, so that it also has value where it's bringing you organic traffic and showing that you're a relevant, your company, since your brand ends up in all of these, we want them ranking for long tails. And that immediately shows Google that you're relevant for those keywords.
Correct. So, the point is that it's taken a long time to put everything together so that it all fits. And I mean, even to the extent, with Madge being here today, it's taken him a long time to put everything together so that it all fits and it all works and everything is seamlessly done. You still need people to do what we're going to do, because more than likely you, or I'll just say myself, I don't want to have to do all of that work. I don't want to build all of those networks. I don't want to have to go do that. So that's why we all end up buying into things that work, save time, and alleviate the pain and aggravation of us having to deal with, a constant flow of VAs who work and don't work, and then you got to get another one, and they don't work, and another one, and then eventually you get a good team, right? But to start off to do all of the things that this does, and to start off like even with with Magic has used the RFR tools, and he's built his team over years to do what they do very, very well. But that's why you use our services, right? Because you don't want to have to understand how to do all of this and then spend all your time building it. You just want to pay the money, get it done, get the results for your client, and do it again. Pay the money, get your results, and do it again. So give me a 1 if you agree with that, or 2 if you just think I'm living in Denver, Colorado, smoking dope, which I'm not sure which one I'd rather be doing right now, but it's a pretty simple game, right? Yeah, Eric, Brian, everybody's agreeing. Pay for the services that work, right?
So I see one person's question here from Daniel. So site number 1 is a subdomain on a client site. So that subdomain is already approved in Google News, because the way this plugin works that we're using, it's hijacking the category system. So every subdomain on there, and I had talked about this with Madge too a few months ago, because I asked him, do you think this will work? That every subdomain will end up showing up in Google News? And he said that it would, and it actually does. So we set up a subdomain on the news site, and you basically, your client can have their own subdomain on a Google News site.
Terry has a comment. He said, Rick has done some brilliant things over the years.
Oh, thanks, Terry.
Yeah, thanks, Terry. Appreciate that. Right?
Like buy stuff from Terry. That's one of the most brilliant things I've done too.
Exactly. So what other questions do you have about what you see here? Number 1, number 2, does everything make sense from Rick has explained? Because like he said, he sees things like a savant. He just sees how things work and operate together and gets them done. And even when he and I are talking, it's like, okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. Change what you're talking about. So that's kind of like why we wanted to make a really good graphic here. And I know that he worked hard on this, because when I saw this morning, I was drawing on his Lucent chart, and it didn't look very good. How many proxies are you using? Terry's asking.
We have it's a rotating base, so I'd have to ask Garrett Arcott exactly, but I mean, it's like 700 new ones every day that rotate. So, and they're expensive too, and I might upgrade. I'm
very expensive.
Yeah, they're very expensive. It's not like the old, I don't know, you've seen the ones. What are some of those residential proxy services that are rotating? They're just terrible because everyone's using them. These are the best proxies I've ever used. And I had been using Packet Stream for a while, but then that just got overused by people, and you start getting, CAPTCHAs for doing a Google search. But these are really the very best proxies I've ever used for any like rotating and residential, but they are expensive.
Right. So, all right, very good. And
if anyone wants to know how to get those, Patrick, set up an affiliate link with Garrett. So
yeah, we will. I might even already have one through Brian Cato. So,
because I'll tell you some of the
he
ways.
He works with them very well.
Yeah. Because if people, like one person asked also, are you selling the system or the service? And I don't do
Service.
systems. We're selling the service through Patrick. And it's just, he's wanted to partner on something with me for a long time, and I've just been resistant. But I'm in a different place now, and where I'm going further away from clients and more into, doing, well, this year we had gotten involved in crypto and did very, very well. And I'm using these techniques to rank some pretty tough crypto keywords. So people in our group do know about that too.
Right, right, exactly. So just out of curiosity, from everybody thinking what you do, time that it takes, people that you'd have to hire to set up, these branded IFTT rings, to set up, the content and the drip with what you're doing and who you're doing it with, and VAs to teach and train, the whole process, and, do the press releases. I mean, they're very important to this process, right? You got to have a press release. Or you should have a press release anyway, to jumpstart the whole thing. And, so that brings a lot of content right into, the #1 site there, a lot of authority into there, the backlinks from the press release, or the links from the press release are very, very usable, for other things that we would want to do with Backlink Factory. And there's, just think of all the tools that we have, right? Does it give you a headache thinking about what you have to do all of this to achieve the results? That's basically the question at hand, right? Do you want to have a headache, or do you want to be able to just plug and play, pay your money, get the results done, have your customers love you, and then do it over again and do it over again, and order another press release? We just happen to be adding one to our mechanism. You can certainly take that, piece, because it's part of it, but, there's nobody that writes a better press release and gets better results for their press releases than Match. I mean, that's hands down. There's no question, right? So and he's also teaching everybody how to build, the Google News sites, right? They're sometimes easy, sometimes they're not. Google changes the rules. So, we're both kind of walking and wading in the same stream here. Just we do things a little bit differently, and how we're tagging them all together, and the things that we're doing versus, and we're doing it all for you. You don't have to do anything. So it's, Madge, I think we're kind of walking side by side. We're not treading on each other or doing anything that way. It's a different approach to solving a problem. So anyway, any other questions?
Yeah, some people are asking about pricing, and one of the things Patrick did was he broke like everything down, like how much this kind of thing costs to do, just so you have an understanding.
How much it's cost you to do? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so you have an understanding of how much value you're getting, because it's actually a ton. And I mean, when I do clients direct, well, just say you're getting like a 10-time discount for what I would charge a client. So,
well, your secret past history, just, letting the cat out of the bag, is that Rick has worked very closely with reputation management of high profile people who have negative information on the internet that needs to be suppressed, right?
Yeah, people that make $1 million commissions in their business and need to spend a lot of money to suppress some things, because losing one deal could be $1 to $2 million.
Yeah, here's a very cool question. And there's probably a lot of people in here that can answer this.
And as far as Holly's Google News Network, I have no idea, because it kind of tuned out from things she's doing a while ago, so I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. Well, the answer to my question or to the question would be, past history indicates future results. So if you're asking that question, then you know the answer that I just gave you, right? How come you aren't testing your competitor's service. What does that mean?
How do you know? Why do you assume that I'm not?
Yeah,
I test everything. I've probably spent more on Fiverr and some of those places than anyone in the world.
yeah,
I mean, tens of thousands of dollars on
right.
services, on Legit, on Conquer, on Fiverr, looking for everything I can for the best ones, because then those are ones then that I'll use on things. And I steal ideas from them too. Like I'll look and I'll just buy a PDF job just so I can see what are some new PDF platforms we're not submitting to. So I buy jobs just to see, hey, what are some of these guys doing? Where are they putting them?
Exactly. So any other last questions on anything that Rick has shared on his diagram? A couple of people asked earlier, are we going to be able to share the diagram later on? I mean, absolutely. It's in, our presentation today. It's in the webinar. It's going to be recorded. It's going to be sent out to other people. It's going to be available on Friday, Saturday, and afterwards. But what we've done is, for those of you that are here, I've really kind of tried to see how I can make this best work for everybody. And the pricing and the modules and the things that we're going to be sharing with you in a second are only going to be good until tomorrow night at midnight, when I'm going to turn this thing off, and all of the some of the secondary things that we're going to be doing are going to go away. But so let me see if I can share my screen and try to figure out where to go.
Now, one thing to know about me is, because of the type of clients I've always had, I'm super, super, super results oriented. And that's all I care about, is winning. And so that's how my whole push on everything has always been, and why I have to change things, why I have to tweak things, what can I do to make it better? What are competitors doing? What are they doing that I can add? What are they doing that I shouldn't be doing because it's stupid and a waste of time? I look at every angle because it's results. That's all that my clients care about, is results. Because if certain things are creeping back up, I find out real fast. And
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to maybe have to fudge around with it. Oh, maybe this is it here. Oh. Anyway, I'm going to put this page up right here. This is the form that I'm going to have everybody fill out today. And because I'm not going to collect any money today. We're going to share, what we have. And if you're interested, you have to fill the form out and tell me what your interest is. And then I will get back to you, and we will figure out how to do the payment, because it's kind of complicated at the moment and it's not on anything today. So yeah, I'm going to go over prices with you and show you what it is if I can find the damn thing. Just hang on. So let me get this link right here. And I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to put it in the chat right here. Just really, really simple form. And, we fill that out and go from there.
And I'd also like to say, this is going to be a living, breathing piece of work that will change to get better. As I said, as we learn new things along the way, as there's algorithm updates, because I have to get results, that's the tweaks are, it's like, I'm just testing so many different things all the time, and then reading what other people are getting out of their testing. And my brain's just always been good at putting it together. And then, if you have a problem and you know what the problem is, your brain can work towards a solution. Just like a homing missile, it just keeps making adjustments until it hits the target.
Yeah. So basically, the way that we're going to break this down, as soon as I can find the spreadsheet that we're working on, is not everybody wants, 13 sites or can afford 13 sites. So we're breaking it down into, what's affordable and how it would work out, from affordability perspective for everybody. Let's see here. All right. Any other questions while I'm trying to find this? Did you post a link did you post link to everyone? For the webinar? Yeah. Yes, I did. Okay. So what other questions do you have? It's going to take me a minute to find this. Because it was right here, but now it's gone. All right, I got it. Hopefully this will show up. Show us the link. No, there is no link, Paul. You can't buy anything. I'm telling you. Not right now. You gotta tell me what you want, and then I'm gonna create something for you, right? I'm sorry about that. Be right there. All right. Tell me if you can see my screen. See it? Okay, so everybody sees it. So this is what I'm saying. You got to sit back, take a little bit of deep breath and kind of work with me, because what I wanted to do for myself was to really understand what Rick was talking about, because he's good at what he does. All these things are built. And I wanted to say, I wanted to really get down into some real numbers to make sure that this is going to be, a viable situation for us. So what I've done is we've offered this thing into 1, 3, 5, 9, and 13 Google sites, news sites, right? And I'm just going to kind of go through these numbers. Some of these things you might say, yeah, I could do it better. I could get it cheaper. I could do this. I could do that. But, for the most part, if you either buy a Google News site or you take the time to build one yourself, which is the awesome course that Madge has. I mean, it's not that hard. It's just time that it takes to do it. I'm figuring that your time, is worth $100 to $200 an hour to build out the sites, or even teach a VA to do it. This is ridiculously low. If you're going to use a press release every month like we're providing, I just put a value of $130 on a press release, but we all know that their quality press releases are way, way, way more than that, right? But it's part of the program and how we're syndicating, content and authority. So they're in there. If you have an IFTTT network, they're 75, 60, 50, whatever it is that you have. Just building out the other, web, 2 sites out, like Rick was saying, definitely going to cost you, $100, $200 to do that. One of the things that we're going to do is, if you were to buy our done for you backlink service, is $299, and we're going to add that in here as part of the program as a bonus for you. Embed networks, running embeds, depending on how many networks you're going to use for all the great links that you get. And the one thing that's awesome about Madge's press releases is you get some really, really good backlinks from press releases as well. Some of the other cheaper ones, you don't get that. And so that's very, very a big distinction for the quality of the stuff that you can get on. If you do a press release, get one of Madge's because they're the best that there are, unless you want to use something, a little bit less intensive for what we're doing here, but there's none better on the market. I think if everybody answers the question in the chat, if you had to buy a really, really super duper press release that's and that's the only thing that you needed to buy, whose would you buy? I think it's definitely hands down would be Madge. So, just to build out and have all of the things that we showed you, per site, obviously you can have a little bit of rollover from one to the next to the next to the next, but each site has its own particular unique entities and what we're doing. And so it's about $1,300 of time and effort and other processes that you need to do to build out one particular site, right? So if you were to do that, what we're offering is, if you wanted one site, we do everything for you with the things that Rick shared with you. It's $350 just to build the site. And then you got 3, you got 5, you got 9, and you have 13. And as those prices go, they become bigger and bigger discounts. So you're doing all of this work on all 13 different press release news sites that Rick is building. So, it would come up to, somewhere it's a large number. I don't know if you want to agree with me on that number or, take numbers off of that, but each of these are separate and they require, somewhat the same attention. So with that, this was a 74% discount, that's 74 all the way down. We did that. And, so each of these numbers represent what that would be to purchase that package, right? But then, as it says, there's more, right? So this brings us down to another discount that we're offering, which is, I'll call it mastermind discount or whatever you want, but it's another discount, which brings that price down to this price, which brings each site down to $140 a piece. So literally you're getting 13 sites, all the work done, all of the Web 2.0s, all of the press release, all the embed codes, CTR, you can see here, that's a very high expense, as we know, because, doing mobile proxies is very expensive, as I think everybody has already said and agreed that it is, right? So literally we're bringing that down to $350. Then with another discount, it's down to $1,800, and that brings, for 13 sites, $1,800, and that brings you down to the $140 per site. So that's why I wanted to make sure that I go over this, and when I get back, I'll answer questions about that.
Yeah, Patrick, I think some people are confused thinking that because when you say site rather than like an article, some people think that they're getting that like a site.
No, there's only one site. It's the news.
Okay.
It's the Google News site. Everything else is supportive of that in the package. So we want to make sure that we're not leaving anything undone that's going to be able to boost the Google News site, which is going to give you the authority for the company or the affiliate product or whatever it is that you're trying to drive authority traffic to and authority links to. That's what all of this does, right? And that's what it does for each site, each time you have to do it, and that's how it breaks down. So it literally is breaking down, the more sites, the less it costs per Google News site. Make sense? So that's what that part of it is. And then for us to maintain it on a monthly basis and continue to do all of this every month, right, for you, then we have a monthly chart of the things, writing the content uploading, the backlink campaigns that we're going to do. If you did, 4 PRs a month under our system, right? You'd have to, know that that's the cost there to maintain them. The CTR bud is always the same. So, on a monthly basis, each one of these sites is going to require about that amount of work, whether you do it, there's still a cost, or somebody else does it. It's just going to be a cost, whether it's your time or somebody else's, right? Bottom line is, when it gets down to really what it is that you're doing for a single site, for maintaining it and doing all that work every month, every week, every day, to maintain what we're giving you, is $78 a month. For one site, $97 a month. For 3 sites, $290, $291, and then $481 for 5 sites, $700, and $885, which breaks down to $67 per site, $81, $96, $97, and for this one, $78 for the first one. So that's why I didn't want to waste time trying to create buttons, and simply because all these last 2 pieces back here on this side, these last 2 bonuses that we have are going to go away. These are all going away on Friday. This is just for us who are here, just for us that want to participate, giving you the opportunity to look at the various options. And the one thing that you guys might not know, but many of us on here do know, I mean, even, Terry indicated, Rick has done some great things. We're not talking about somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And these are systems. These are, things that he's put together that work, where he has been able to generate, significant income, charging people lots and lots and lots and lots of money to utilize these ideas and these concepts, right? And it works, or he wouldn't be able to accomplish those goals, right? So let me get back to stop sharing and go back to some questions. Okay, what kind of maintenance do the news sites need? RSS feeds, content, everything that we shared with you that I just, outlined, and that whole schematic that Rick went through, those are all things that need to be, maintained. If you want to have the right system, Brian. I mean, you could throw something up there and it doesn't get refreshed and it's not new. But, when we're doing everything new content for all of the sites that we're building on, the tumblers have new content, everything that we do is fresh, right? So one-time expense or monthly, well, I just showed you the one time to build the system, and then the second part of it was to maintain it. So are we buying links only? You own all the properties. No. But we own the Google News sites. You are putting your content on the things that we own, just like you would do as if you got a article placed on any news site. Okay. The content is yours, but it's just on somebody else's site where they're having eyeballs to see it. And in this case, we're boosting it in every way possible that we can to make sure that it gets the traffic that you're going to need.
Yeah, so let me tackle a question from Hosen here, who says, would you be getting one keyword, phrase / niche in the system? I like to look at it as a niche and a kind of a keyword bubble, rather than you're going to give us your keyword weight loss supplement or something. I want to look at the whole LSI bubble, right, so that the 13 sites that are talking about it, and then that gets talked about in social media, is using all those phrases or a good deal of them, rather than kind of repetitive weight loss supplements, weight loss supplements, weight loss supplements. It's going to be like a bubble of LSI terms that should look natural in a conversation that's growing and happening across, dozens of sites and social media accounts.
Correct.
And the pricing more complicated, I don't think that would be a feat if he could make that pricing even more complicated.
It was way more complicated before I made it less complicated. Trust me. But, I the reason that I want it to be that way is we all have different appetites, right? And so if we just came out and said, okay, here's what it is, here's 5 sites, blah, 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 here's the menu, some of you guys have bigger agencies, right? And you need a bigger palette of things to do that's going to give you, more power. And then some of us, we're okay if we got a little podunk plumber in nowhere land, Illinois, 1 or 3 could, kind of do the trick. So that's, why I wanted to try to make this same the way that we at the Ranking Factory and Gary and I always try to do, is bring it down to the lowest common denominator of what will work at the very cheapest possible price that we can, based upon the cost and the time and the effort that we're doing as a done for you system. Okay, so that all you have to do is, give us the input to start with, and then the whole engine and the whole factory behind the scenes that Rick has created it. And let me tell you, it hasn't been me. Okay, I haven't done damn thing about any of this other than understand it and begin to help him understand how to really share it. Okay,
So
because
here's another question though that's a good one. We
Sure.
don't get the #1 site on our client's subdomain. Well, what we want to do on that is have an option where, and I don't know how Patrick wants to work that, where you get an author account and you can log into that site, the DA69 news site, and put an article on there anytime.
absolutely. No, I mean,
So you would, yeah, you could have a client subdomain that you could then put an article out, every week or 2 if you wanted, with your own. So we just don't know how to, or he hasn't figured out the best way to position that. And one of the reasons too, I decided to do this was because I had no idea how much work I thought, you know what, I'm going to build a news network, but I don't want them all syndicating duplicate content, the same article like a press release network. There's other people doing that already anyway, like Maj. I wanted news sites that all had different content, because I did a lot of experimenting with sites like that. And it just was too much work, way too much work. So if you want to try to own 13 of these sites and do all this, I'm going to tell you, it's such a handful. But then Patrick convinced me and said, hey, well, why don't we do something like this, kind of put our heads together so we could offer it as a service, because it's too much work just for me and my couple VAs.
right, but it won't be too much for you to just bring a couple more in to,
Yeah.
handle the load. Because my concern would be, great, so we get, 300 orders. Okay, how's that going to work? Well, I know you can handle most of what you can handle, but you have to have people. We've got other people that we can help you with to scale up some of the things that need to be done from the VAs that we work with, right?
Right.
And that's not a problem. But just to give everybody, clarification, that doesn't matter how much of these you do, even though 13 is 13, it's over 13 weeks. And literally, one of the things I didn't ask Rick, but I don't think it would much matter, is if you want to tell us that you don't want, 13 weeks back to back to back to back to back to back, you'd like to scatter them, every other week. Okay. And get a longer period of time, as that is dripping itself out, then that's something that we can accommodate as well. It's not engraved in granite.
Let me answer a couple more questions in here. One from Steve Miller. Is this good for a GMB, a local business, a national niche? For a GMB, it works like unbelievable. I mean, because if you want, then you can have your GMB embedded into each news article. for GMB and local stuff, I just find that stuff so easy. It's not even a challenge. So national niche, it works for that too, because mainly I've always been in national niches. I'm not in national brands, national niches. I've never really done much in local, and I considered it to be, kind of too easy and not much challenge there. So, and I don't mean to downplay that to people that are doing that, but it's just always seemed that way to me. For Hosen here with the keyword bubble, since this is really your article, you can put in, like, if you had a couple clients you wanted to put inside one bubble, I think there'd be no problem with that, except for that maybe your clients, if they're competitors, they're inside the same articles. I'm not sure if that's what you mean.
Is it like a franchise? Who's it? Josen? When you have, like, I know a couple people, someone on here, had a franchise of 200 or 300 businesses across the country, right? Is that what you're talking about? Or is it just a little bit different than that? Okay, while he's answering that question, if we want to add additional clients in the future, do we still get the same pricing? Yes. Unless it's after midnight tomorrow night, then you won't. But fill that sheet out, and you fill that sheet out. You were here, you're time stamped. If this is something you want to do, don't forego filling the sheet out. Every single person in here should fill the sheet out, because that says that you were here. Even if you just wanted just one, it doesn't matter. We don't care. But if I don't hear from anybody and the top clicks, those last two discounts go away. I did paste the form link. Joe said it's up in the top, but here's another one right here. Okay, so let's see. Local business is the same niche in different cities, is what he's saying.
I mean, you can put in, if
Sure.
you want mixed in them, you can do that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, you can write your own articles or give us direction in what you want, some of the content to say. So how about this, Rick? This is just me thinking, one week we talk about, Starbucks in Denver. The next week we talk about Starbucks in Austin, Texas. And the next week we talk about Starbucks in Washington, D.C.
It's just Starbucks still.
Yes, but they're different locations, right?
Right.
But I think that's the question that he's asking, right? Local business is the same niche in different cities.
Yeah.
Like would it be like Ben Franklin Plumbing is a local niche, and it's the same niche, but they're all in different cities and they're separate different franchises. That's kind of like what comes to my mind, right?
Yeah, I want people to have the flexibility to, like, throughout these 13 articles, mainly when people are doing a syndication, they're like, okay, you give one YouTube URL. Well, I think for all 13 articles on each news site, if you wanted to do a different YouTube URL, and each one of those was like, one was for their business in New Jersey, one was in, Atlanta or wherever, going, across the board, you could have a different video embedded into each one. You could have a different GMB embedded into each article. It should have flexibility so that it just looks normal.
Wow, Terry, you're brilliant. I'm just posting the damn link to myself. That's so cool. I can't see what I'm doing. Can you see it now? You're
Terry,
pasting the link. He says you're pasting a link to yourself.
Terry, you want to have a call after? Maybe I should be doing this with you.
Oh, hell, we all know that's the case. I mean, there ain't no question about that. I mean, just think, imagine him used to do, Reggae Factory, tags. One did it the manual way, one did it the Ranking Factory way. One did it the manual way. One, I was trying to figure out which one was going to win since one was competing with me and the other one wasn't. But yeah.
Maj has got to be happy. He's got pretty much a free commercial on this webinar. So
he doesn't need it. Everybody on here knows who he is anyway. We've been promoting him for like ever.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see. You need to paste it. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Again, you haven't posted. All right. I get the point. So let's, part of what the question was is earlier. So one site gets the first 4 weeks of the stack, and then you pay for the maintenance for the rest of the 13 weeks. And then you could do that for another stack behind it. I mean, that's probably going to be, Daniel, a question that we would have in the Skype room, and really talk about the possibilities and how that would be formulated best for you, and as opposed to here, because it might get a little lengthy in terms of all the nuances that we can do.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be very solution based when doing things rather than extremely cookie cutter.
Okay.
So there's flexibility, I think, all around, but at the same time, we want to have flexibility, but where Patrick and I are able to keep this in a system that is repeatable enough to be at a low cost also. But I like to have things like a solution. The customer this is their problem, we're delivering a solution that's, sometimes it's going to be different than what somebody else has. There's going to be some changes and maybe, how much they need or whatever. But Patrick's more the liaison on that, where I just figure out solutions and make it work.
And we all know that you do. Steve, great question. What is the lifetime of the maintenance? Well, maintenance is subject to your decision, which is 1 month or forever. Trying to understand the cost and the benefit of paying the monthly. Well, the cost of the benefits that you're getting for us to do the work every month to keep everything, up, make sure that it's correct, make sure it's getting posted, make sure that you're getting traffic, to your customer. That's what we do for the maintenance part. And at any point in time, if you don't want to do that, or you want to do some of it and you want some of it, still to be done by us, just call us and, Rick will stop doing it cold, and you don't have to pay for it anymore. Right. Or you've got somebody that you want to maybe do some part of it that you don't have at the very beginning. It's very simple. Nothing is ever engraved in granite. We want everything to work for everybody. And so at the very onset of what we're doing, this is the best I could come up with to give everybody a fair shot to do something, either one, if you got a bigger agency, 13, or somewhere in the middle. Does that make sense, Steve? I hope it does. It's like Tucker Carlson says at the end of one of his interviews with somebody. Yes, that made really good sense. I didn't think about it that way.
Terry, no, you wouldn't lose any links and juice. You keep those forever, just like
Right.
any article that goes out there. And for people that may not understand the pricing and the whole maintenance thing, I only understand the diagram I made. I can't understand anything Patrick made. So he'll have to probably go over that with me later too again.
Right.
So but honestly, it's the pricing part's confusing to me. I just understand what I created and how I do it.
We're using economies of scale. Basically, if you hire one person to work on one site, you've got the full value of that one person and the cost of that one person, and towards the process and the program, right? But if you got that same person who can do the same amount of work over 2 sites or 3 sites or 4 sites or whatever, you get the cost benefit of that individual, and the costs go down. So that's why when you saw the diagram that I showed you, it costs more to maintain per site, one site, than it does to maintain, it was $97 for one site. You have 13, it only costs 67 because we get economies of scale, right? So that's Daniel, I hope that kind of, answers that question a little bit. Bob is asking, can you share the PDF so I can get a better handle on what you're selling? Hard to figure out when you only show half the information. Okay, that's all the information we have is on the PDF. There is no more. So it's 100% of the information, Bob, that we have.
Or maybe they only saw part of the PDF and the screen share. We have the PDF, and I can make that better. I mean, I threw that together over the last couple days, and I know that it's not the easiest thing for everyone to understand, and it doesn't even have all the information, but it was what we put together to show basically what the kind of the architecture of this was.
Okay. I can't read the questions once I do this, so they want me to share the screen over here again on the maintenance side.
So maybe when you share the screen, you can't see the whole PDF.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you can send the PDF out.
Well, I'll send anybody that fills out the Google form, right? I'll create this link and I'll make sure that I'll send it to everybody in the email so that you have it. I'm not going to use it for, the Friday sale. It's just for us that are here. But primarily these are the things that are done at, a basic retail cost of what you might have to pay somebody to do it. Okay. So when it comes right down to it, it costs about maybe $1,300 to get the press releases, the backlinks, the embed codes, especially the CTR bots, and, actually pay for a new Google News site or buy a new Google site. Or, if you make one, that's $200 of your time to make one, right? So these are relatively accurate numbers for the effort and time and the process that we're putting into it and paying people to get things done. But as that one individual does content, the next one is less of his time. So we get economies of scale, less of his time again, less of his time again. So that's why when it breaks down, right, on the maintenance side of things, that's how come you can see these numbers, getting a lot smaller in terms of what the cost per site would be. Okay. So I'll make a copy of this and I'll put it in the email back to everybody, in the Google document, so that you can look at them, argue with me, disagree with me, doesn't matter. The bottom line is, if you want it, the process that we're doing to be good, and you do it yourself, that's fine. I hope you learned something today about what you can do if you're building out your own network. And Madge is teaching you how to build Google News sites. But once you build them, what you going to do with them? You got to do something. Just can't build them out there and have a palm tree in the middle of the freaking desert. Takes time, takes effort, takes processes to make sure that the value of what you're building and the value of the time you put in to build that site, as Madge's course is, brilliant. I mean, I've had people that have built sites that couldn't spell their own freaking name, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. But if you wanted to have something a little easier for yourself and get in and have all that work externally done, if you have your own site and you want us to do some of the work, contact us. We're here to make everybody happy and provide value. You don't have to do these things, but these are just the values of what it would be if you did every single thing the way that we're going to be doing it for you. It's just, that's the cost. And then we break it down into what it would actually cost per site, $140, for that, 90, 193, 240, whatever. So any other questions? Let me see if I can see any questions in the chat. Okay, I'm filling out the form. My news sites were taken out when Dallas News went after Holly. Oh, yeah, well, if you want new ones, build them yourself. Madge's course, brilliant. you want to have work done on them to do the things that we're doing, come and talk to us about doing all the things that we might be able to do to help you with that. Okay. But that's why I answered my question when somebody asked me about Holly's stuff last time. The things that you're going to get here, the press releases that you're going to get with Madge or us, or, the news sites that you're going to build through the training program and process that he teaches you. Okay. But then you got to do something with them, guys. You just can't build a site. You got to do something. And that's where all these other processes come in, where it sucks the hell out of your time to do all that stuff and out of your wallet, right? So in any case, that's my story. I'm sticking to it, whether you like it or you don't. It is what it is. But the bottom line, as Terry said earlier, the man behind the curtain who's doing all of this for you, trust me when I tell you, it ain't me. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. It's because Rick has been doing this like forever. You're getting a PhD to do the things that he knows that works, that he has gotten $20,000, $30,000 a month just for reputation management. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry, Rick. He's made a lot of money from people using these processes to get their ass out of trouble. Right?
Yeah, the point where I'm at right now, one of my first questions for a client is, can they, if they don't have 10,000 a month to spend and they can't tell me really where the pain is, I won't take them on as a client. I just won't take anybody on for less than that now. And I'd rather keep a few clients and do an amazing job and figure out the solution to every problem they have, rather than having 100 and making a little bit and them not getting much attention. So with this thing that we've created, all my attention is going into this to make it work and to make it work better than anything out there. But that's how I work. Like kind of the Jerry Maguire of reputation management now. It's less clients.
Yeah, Matt, he says, thanks for the free advertising.
I know, I'm going to go over and buy another one of his releases. It's been a while, so.
Hey, if the ocean isn't big enough for all of the ships that are sitting out there with crap on them to deliver to the port, then we got a real problem. And, for the things that we do, that he does, he uses Ranking Factory products to boost his press releases, or at least he used to. I'm not sure now, but I think he still does. So, it's all this bullshit about, trying to protect only your stuff and not giving shout out to where it's due, to me is just a pain in the ass. I don't believe in that crap. So sorry about it.
Maj has put together one of the best press release services there are out there. And one thing that really impressed me was how he uses the cloud stacks and everything to create links back. So we've kind of implemented some of that into this, and just not detailed it, because there's other things that we're doing in this that I just didn't have time to put everything in there today. The nitty gritty part of it, the news site part, we went into detail, but then some of those additional like tier 2, 3 links, like from cloud stacks and whatnot, that's not in there. And that's really the easiest part to do anyway, where you wrap it up into a tight bow. You take all those links and you create a nice cloud stack where you're just juicing up everything a lot, even more.
I got a better idea. Everybody take a snapshot of this form so you have it. While I have it up on the screen, just go ahead and snap it off and take a picture of it. Scott's asking, he missed the answer. Will the number 1 pack typically be enough to rank a local keyword?
That's too open of a question, because you could say, what's the population of that city? Is it Dallas?
Sure.
Or is it like, Weaver, Washington, with the population of 500 or something? It's really, I mean, that's impossible to answer. And from that, I mean, in some webinars, I might say, oh yeah, absolutely. I just won't say that because I have no idea what the parameters are there. So I'm never going to give an answer that I can't get behind myself.
No, I mean, it's a great question, but it's
But
a
it could,
non-answerable question,
with,
right?
if you're getting the press release with it, with the 550, I know people that have ranked local keywords just doing a one press release. They're getting the 550 syndications, and it doesn't even go to a Google News site. They just do that one press release. So it can, but again, it's what's the competition, what's the size of the city, who's already in there doing work. You know, there's too many variables for a one size fits all answer there.
Yep, it is. But I can tell you one thing. Other things that we've proven in Ranking Factory can do the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
With stacks, with this, and putting these together. That's why we're offering in this package, you know, our backlink factory to do this for you, right? Because we know how powerful the BLF is and how it can move the needle. So when you take this little piece of the recipe and that little piece of the recipe, and they're both powerhouse recipes, you know, you can just imagine how much the needle can move when you're utilizing everything in the right proportion. And with the problem with a lot of the things that are powerful, okay, I'll just ask the question. What is the one thing about adding power on power that happens that people don't realize that causes the power not to have power? And I said that in a way to be confusing because I want to see who understood what I was talking about. What happens when you do that? See, nobody knows the answer, or they don't want to admit it. It's crickets.
Well, I think that was a riddle. No one understood the riddle.
Oh, bullshit. It's the same thing. If you don't release it in a moderate way, and you don't control the beast that you have and the power that you have, and you just unabashedly let it go, you do more harm than you do good. I.e., somebody just mentioned somebody else that their sites get destroyed. Why?
Yeah.
Okay, because they're not diligent and they think, you know, here's
Well, this is
an example.
this is why this was created, where 13 weeks go by and you don't have to think about any one of those weeks, not a single one. It's just week one happens, week two happens. And it's that, like I said, I like to have something that's happening that looks natural, like in the wild and organic, where, hey, now these people are starting to talk about it. Now these guys over here at this news site who also have their own Pinterest accounts and bloggers, they just started talking about it. So all these real profiles through as the weeks go by are talking about it. And each previous week gets stronger than the last because they're linking back to those things. So it's just something that it's like a domino and it happens. You can't do this on a, you know, SEO autopilot blast where you're just hitting like 1,000 links in one day and then indexing. This is something that looks like a conversation happening over time. And that's the way it was designed to work too.
Correct. Right. And we've proven it in the most negative of possible ways with Backlink Factory, right? When we first did this, my buddy and your friend Brian Cato was learning this, and one of our friends over in the UK wanted to get his site ranked, his GMB ranked from 5 up into the 3-pack. So he sent 1 million Google backlinks to his GMB, thinking, hey, it's Google. That's a lot of links, a lot of power. It should, you know, help. Well, it was kind of funny because what happened was in, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes of him doing that, it went to number 1. like instantaneously. Right. And then when he got all excited and called us back to show us, it was gone. We couldn't even find the site in the top 100. Right. It was gone. So utilizing things in the answer to your question appropriately, within reason, understanding the recipes, how things work together best. That's the key to all of these tools that you use. It's the key to all the Ranking Factory tools. It's the key to any tool that has good strength and good power to it. You have to understand how to use it properly. Otherwise you'll absolutely do the reverse of what you're trying to accomplish in many cases. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly how I explain the different tools out there too, because you could give me a scalpel and I go, why do I need to go see a doctor? I've got a scalpel right here. This is the tool that they use. But without the proper training, you can mess something up.
Yeah. Jack, you're exactly right. When we break things, we learn so that we can help others not do the same thing from that process, right? So anyway, that's kind of like all I've got. I've got the maintenance screen up there, so go ahead and take a snapshot. There's no need for you to thank Madge. He didn't do anything.
Everyone,
come on, Neely, come on.
Go buy Madge's stuff.
Yeah, if you want to thank him, go buy the course and build your Google sites out because they're brilliant. But these are aged, these are there. So whatever, it's just a good community that we live in, and it's awesome to be able to do what we do and cross-pollinate each other and enjoy the company of one another. And like I said, imagine Rick and I had a conversation, 3 days ago? Yeah. About exactly what we're doing here, how maybe in the future we can incorporate some of the things that we're doing here. One of the links that it doesn't matter, but it's just awesome to be able to it's right down the screen that's on this right now is the monthly maintenance screen right there. Yeah, sorry guys, there you go. So anyway, that's
no one understands the pricing. More reason to go to Madge's and just see the easy pricing and buy his stuff. So there you go. Another commercial for him.
What did I tell you about that before, Rick? I mean, come on, man. But all right, last question. So $78 for 1 month for the 3. It goes to yes. 1 is 78. The 3 is 97, then 96, then 81, then 67. Now I may have to take a look at some math and see kind of why that's doing that. But it's supposed to go more from high to low. So I may have a mathematical equation error for 1, but I mean, we'll fix it up. Okay. Oh my God, Matt, we're even letting him put his promotional links in here, Rick.
Oh, why not? Put it on the spreadsheet here.
There you go, guys. There you go. It's freaking awesome, right?
This will be Madge's most effective sales.
I think Madge, I think you need to share this webinar with everybody you're trying to sell your service to. It's all good. So anyway, thanks guys. The other thing that I would like to know in the chat from what you've seen, everybody please fill out the form. In case you change your mind and you want to do something later, you're not going to get these prices. But from what we've been able to put together, what Rick has been able to share with you, understanding the power of the Google News sites, understanding how to syndicate, content and data around them to build up their authority and build up the power to whatever it is that you're trying to get ranked, right? Then let me know in the chat, if you're interested. I don't care. Don't tell me how many, but I just want to know whether or not this has been fruitful and you're interested in maybe picking up, some of these 1 through 13, whatever, right? Where's the form? Okay, I'll put it back in here again. Right there. Okay. Jack, thank you. All right, Brian, thank you. Other Brian, thank you. Cool. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. I've got a shit pot full of stuff to do for the Black Friday website and all the stuff. I may not even sell anything. It's just getting too complicated. But I will say one thing.
Madge is going to do well.
That's okay.
I know.
He needs a new car. I know that he needs a new car, and he needs a slower car, and he needs a mama mobile instead of what he's got because of that beautiful girl of his, right? So, he's got. I just bought my wife a car. All right, you kept yours and you bought her the mama mobile. Okay, I understand. That's cool. No worries. It's all good. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot. Oh, look, I'm serious about the fact that when you see our stuff, if you don't really know what it is that you want right now, out of all the things that we're going to be putting up, especially like we're coming up with a brand new social program for doing all your social posting, all your social Instagrams and blah, 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 blah. That's going to be something that we're going to be highlighting as well. But Jan is a perfect example. We're here, we've been around, buy $500,000, $2,000 worth of coins, whatever it is. And that, that's a 50% discount of anything that we sell, off of whatever our original price is. You can get that discount, at any time, any point in time that fits it in your schedule of things to do, another shiny object that you want to get. Of course, I don't think our stuff is shiny. I think we're picks and shovels, to say the least. But it'll be on the Black Friday site if I ever get it up by Black Friday. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. We were only supposed to do this for 20 minutes. Rick, is what you said. 20 minutes. Right?
20 minutes.
That's what you said. Let's get in there, down dirties. Tell them what it is and get out. 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was longer than 20 minutes. Not happy.
Okay. Hey, did you have fun? Did you have fun?
I drank a glass of wine while we did this, so yeah, it wasn't too bad.
All right, good. If you can't have fun, then what's the point?
It's Thanksgiving Eve, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Everybody, absolutely. Okay. We will talk at you later. Thank you for coming.
All right, see you.
And when I get the webinar back out, please share it with anybody that you know, right? See ya. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All righty. Stop sharing. And then I'm going to copy the chat. So I have the chat notes. And we'll stop the recording. You guys have a great family, great Thanksgiving. And at least this year you can be together, which we're all blessed to be able to do that, right? So see you guys. Bye-bye.